There's a very interesting and an important truth about how the cycles of life work. And these cycles of life, they actually work the same for everybody, just on a different timing because every person has a different birthday. One of the cycles of life that is actually very important, and it has to be monitored accurately and watched and utilized, and that is a major key to either positive or negative results within creation, so to say, on all levels, is actually the lunar long and short units in the lunar cycle. So, oftentimes I've compared the moon to something like the visible clockwork of how creation is and what state it is in and the cycles it goes through and the phases that it's in. So as a general rule here, you basically have, this thing that goes on where there's a new moon, right? And then for you know, however many days it takes for it to reach a point of fullness, right? You have the lunar cycle, right? From new moon to full moon, right? Okay. So the lunar cycle is said to be about 14 days. Okay. So we're just going to start with a clean slate here so this makes a maximum amount of sense for everyone. Basically, what goes on is that um, it's like the heavens, the heavenly bodies are like the visible clockwork and like almost like instruments on a dashboard that we can look at and see what's going on in creation. Now, generally speaking, we're going to start from a new moon point of view because it'll make this simpler. At a new moon and at the very moment of a new moon, right? Like on the hour by the minute and the second and so on. That's accurate enough, right? Right after the moment of the new moon, right? What happens is everything is in a state of being like a clean slate in creation, in how it linearly, systematically progresses. So then what happens is there's a general increasing and a volume and a mass gaining and a momentum gaining like tendency to everything that goes on in life for like 14 days. And remember, within these 14 days, there's 3.5 day segments of negative, and then positive, and then negative, and then positive lunar long units. But that we'll talk about that later. But right now we're looking at it overall from a distance, where on the new moon, right after it, everything is in a zeroed out, sort of a clean slate at a standard minimum, and the energy that seems to power the universe and earth, heavens, earth plane, earth human life activity, this environment, this human existence, this world, it seems to go from a standard minimum new and a fresh reset point, and right after a new moon or on it, and right after it, it goes and it increases from a standard minimum point to a standard maximum point of like volume and mass and vibration and activity right till it reaches a maximum point of the full moon. Now, you can observe this. Pay attention to how the city square or your place of work looks in terms of how many people are there or how many how many figures you're making in business on, like, let's say 3 days after a new moon compared to 3 days before a full moon. You will see that what I'm saying is true. So everything starts to go into like a clean new slate. And right after the new moon, that's this clean slate, and it goes from a standard minimum, the energy that powers the universe. It seems to be that it goes through like phases of almost like where there's always music playing, but the volume of it is increasing from a standard minimum to a standard maximum. And you will see this. So then in this 14-day cycle, right, there's 3.5 days after a new moon. It's a 3.5 day negative lunar unit. Then 3.5 days positive, then 3.5 days negative, right? And then subsequently and finally, you have 3.5 days before a full moon that's a positive short lunar unit. Sorry, positive long lunar unit. And within those, there is also the short lunar unit of 3 hours. So shall I make this simple? So like after a new moon, 3.5 days negative, right? Then 3.5 days positive. This goes on a couple times till finally 3.5 days positive long lunar unit just before a full moon. And then on every day, though, approximately, moreover, more precisely, you have 3-hour lunar units that constantly change between. So the 3-hour short lunar unit that changes between positive and negative. And that also expresses itself in the tides, where there's generally 2 high tides a day and 2 low tides. So that goes on. So you have a short one every 3 hours. It's a short lunar unit of 3 hours. It switches between negative and positive all the time. And then the 3.5 day long lunar unit that after a new moon, it's 3.5 days negative, then it's 3.5 days positive, then it's 3.5 days negative, 3.5 days positive, right? So let's see, comprehend and actually understand here is the following point. It was said, wait till a new moon to start new things. Well, there's some things that have to go on, whether it's a decreasing or an increasing moon, etc. There's just, providence is always working, and it's working at different levels. And the moon indicates to us what levels this is working at. So now, picture this. Right now, today, it's the 16th of October, 2025. We are currently 5 days before a new moon. So now, this saying, and what Dad used to say, he was correct. He always used to say, wait till a new moon to start new things. Wait till a new moon. Okay? Well, it's true because, see, if you were to look at this thing there, this sort of a map of the lunar cycle, right? Kind of what's actually going on is we're currently, right now, right? We're actually currently, let's say we're something like this, where it's on a decreasing curve since last full moon, right? So we're currently in a place and in a time and in a state, and these days right now to the next new moon, what's going on right now is that everything is just decreasing and just about to end and reset in the form of a new moon. So there's a decreasing curve leading to the end of things. The moon is emptying out, it's ending, it's over with, and it's about to all start afresh next Tuesday. And why is this important to monitor? Because, see, it's almost like, you're looking to go uphill by train to a mountain. And there's one train that it's going to go uphill with full swing and full force, fast and safe, but not at this moment. And the train that's running right now is really slow, and it's about to stop soon. And you're not going to get where you're going. But once a couple days go by, there's this automatic upswing. Things are going to upswing again. And you'll see certain things. This is something he used to say too, and he was generally correct, that whatever you've really earnestly been working on, so to say, will manifest right before a full moon, actually on the full moon or a few days after it. Something to look out for. Generally, though, it's important to monitor the lunar units, both long and short, and the cycles of the moon, because it's like being able to look at a watch that shows you I compare this to a dashboard, like a pilot sitting in his airplane, and he's got these instruments on the dashboard that show him what's going on with the machine and the machinery. It's the same thing with the heavenly bodies. It's like the parking meter showing you how much is available right now or what's going on. It actually is like this. I've experimented. I've successfully practiced this theory that I sort of attained, especially what I showed you now, and I've seen that it's correct. And it can only make sense like that. So now look, if it's a couple of days before full moon, right? This is a decreasing curve that we're on right now in creation right now. If you invest, if you put in effort here, it's not going anywhere. It's just reaching its minimum point soon, and then it's emptied out, zeroed out. So you have to wait to launch new things. Wait to launch, new investments, new things, new projects, all that stuff. Right after, like, let's say 1 second after the new moon. Now, there's details in the milliseconds and so on in astrology or whatever, astronomy. But generally, look, it's almost like you're sitting at point A and you like to go to point B. There's a vehicle that leaves point A at exactly 12 o'clock, and it goes directly to point B. You don't get on and try to go at 11:59.999. You have to be on the, it really does make a difference in terms of details and timing. Like, that's why I said right after the new moon, because on the point of the new moon, it's almost like you got to wait just a second for things to activate, and then you're on this upward stuff. This is how this works. So a second after, like a minute after, the second after the new moon, then things have gone to a neutral, standard, minimum, clean slate and a resetted state in creation, right? And then it's continually on an upward, positively increasing tendency and curvature and like universal providential sort of a trajectory till the full moon. Then things reach a maximum peak in volume, creative mass, activity, earth, human life activity, and then like bam, like right here on target, right? At the moment when the moon reaches its complete fullness, then it changes again and it starts to decrease again till the next new one. So it's like, pay attention to this. Why is this important to pay attention to? Well, because you could put in effort, work, you could labor on, do things right now, and it would amount to nothing. And then, after the new moon, it would start to actually happen. So time my effort, my earth human life activity intelligently so that it will lead to and bear good fruits, then that's really good. Another thing is this, it's like having an insurance policy, because if I'm thinking about financial income right now, trying to generate it, well, if I know that the next 5 days, it's not really going to happen. But after this day, things are going to go upward and positive again. And then things are starting to happen around here, and we're going to see results around here, right? If you know these things in advance in life, it makes life a lot better and a lot safer and a lot easier. And that's called self-mastery. That's practical application of wisdom, right?